Who's ready for some exciting gaming news? I'm engorged. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Super quick, shameless plug. I'll be streaming this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I have a scheduled stream. I'll put a link to that below in the description and top pin comment. And also, too, on my soon-to-be partnered ASMR channel, I have a new ASMR video where I unbox the iPhone 17 Pro Max and also the iPad Air M3. I'll have a link to that below in the description and top pin comment as well. So the Xbox brand, at least from a hardware perspective, is dead. I don't care what Microsoft says that they're coming out with next-gen consoles. I don't believe them, to be quite frank with you. I just think they're trying to keep investors from getting completely skittish. But Xbox, at best, is in a world of trouble. Let's just go over some of the stuff that's happened this year that's been really detrimental to the brand. They raised console prices twice in 2025. This is nuts in and of itself. If this would be damaging in and of itself enough that if nothing else happened here that I'm going to discuss, this would still be really bad. But nonetheless, here is the original price of the series consoles, and here's what they increased them to twice in a year. The Series S, which launched for $300 in May, got a price increase, $80 price increase to $380. Now it is $400. Think the console prices are increasing at the end of the generation. Anyway, the Series S 1 terabyte model started off at $350 in 2023, $430 in May 2025, and is now $450. $450 for an Xbox Series S is, do not dare buy it unless you own one already. Do not buy any of these consoles. Xbox is essentially dead at this point. The digital Xbox Series X, you could save yourself a couple bucks by not having the Blu-ray drive in it. Launched at $450 in 2024. Wasn't that long ago. Went up $100 in May of this year and is now going up another $50 to $600. The Xbox Series X, when it launched in 2020, was $500. It went up to $600 just this May, and now is getting another $50 price increase to $650. And then you have the 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition, which was a ripoff when it launched in 2024 at $600, became an abysmal ripoff in May of this year for $730, and now they're asking $70 more at $800 US. If you want to go out and buy a Galaxy Special Edition X Xbox Series X, you got to fork over as much as you could for a gaming PC. You could actually get one for cheaper. I have before, and it was pretty decent. And on top of it, Microsoft is increasing the price of Game Pass Ultimate. In July of 2024, it went from $16.99 US to $19.99. Now it's getting a 50% increase from $19.99 to $29.99 US. And rumor is that this is because they have Call of Duty on Game Pass and they're looking to recoup because that game usually sells a lot. And from what I'm hearing, the reason why Game Pass is increasing, it's a rumor, is that Call of Duty, they're trying to recoup the lost sales that will happen due to it being on Game Pass. And they're going to try to like shoehorn other features in to justify it being $30 a month, but I don't think it's going to work. And now on top of it too, which I actually think there's more to this rumor than it being just a rumor, it seems like Microsoft is liquidating stock, and they are just expected to get out of the console race. They refute this. I'll get to that in a second. This comes from CBR. I'll read it to you, then we'll discuss. The end might actually have arrived for the Xbox brand, as rumors are circulating that the company is liquidating its stock as part of a push towards a software-only developer, which includes scrapping the successor to the Xbox Series X and S. Now, Microsoft attempt to debunk these rumors, and they put out a statement, and here is what they had to say. This comes from Kotaku. We are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. For more details, the community can revisit our agreement announcement with AMD, meaning that they're in a contract with AMD for a multi-year partnership to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including living room consoles and PC gaming handhelds. And what's funny, I love the title from Kotaku here. I got to give Xbox still swears it's not giving up on consoles as fan morale craters, which how do you expect it to not crater? You're asking for certain models about $800 for a 5-year-old system. You've raised the price of what many people would constantly try to justify the value of Xbox with was Game Pass. Where's that value now? Where is it? You got to think that's $360 a year. $360 a year in US money. For what? I wouldn't be able to, dude, I'm 44. I would have to find time. I would have to squeeze it in. And I don't want to do that to justify the price of Game Pass. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. To me, the writing has been on the wall with Xbox since the Xbox One. And I'm not even talking about the disastrous launch, which I would say to this day, I think many people would argue that that sealed the fate of Xbox. The disastrous launch of the Xbox One. Microsoft admitted they needed to win that generation, and they didn't. And the disastrous launch, I don't think Microsoft ever fully recovered. I don't think Xbox, the brand, ever fully recovered from that. And then when they started to get some footing, Phil Spencer took over. They got rid of the Kinect bundle where they tried to shove the Kinect with the Xbox One down your throats. And they made a console-only version of the Xbox One. And I'm like, all right, finally, they're getting it now. But Xbox, I think it was called at the time Play Anywhere. They revealed it with Quantum Break. And I remember at the time Microsoft discussing Play Anywhere. And I think they revealed it, or they really started to push it with Quantum Break. It was an Xbox exclusive at the time. You could play this game anywhere. You could play it on your PC. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I get it. You know, even back then, you realized that games were going to be a service. But it was premature. You could argue to this day, really trying to shoehorn games as a service is somewhat premature. Not as much as it was, I would say, 10 years ago. But nonetheless, it's still, people aren't ready to not have hardware that actually runs the games natively. And Microsoft just was too premature with it. And it really diluted the brand. You know, I understand that games as a service is the future, but they went too aggressive with it. And then on top of all that, when you still in 2025 need a console where people could buy a game and you profit off of that game. And there's an incentive to buy your console because the only place to get certain games is on your hardware. You are essentially making all of the games multi-plat, bringing exclusives that would have been Xbox exclusives to the PlayStation 5 and PC and other platforms, where those games may have incentivized people to go out and buy your console. I mean, Sony, I know, is trickling games onto PC too, and they're going to continue to do that, but at least they have the timed exclusive thing. But let's keep it real. The reason I'm not buying Ghost of Yotoi, if I'm saying the name wrong, I apologize, is because I know it's going to come to PC. And I'm going to want to play it on multiple devices. I'm sitting here because I'm a weirdo making Steam Machine consoles. Like, why in the hell would I buy the game twice? And I hate the walled garden around consoles, whereas if I buy a game on Steam, I could play it on a billion different devices that can handle the game. When you buy a game on your PS5, your choices are playing it on your PS5, PS Portal, or PS5. Those are your choices. But Sony at least realizes with timing exclusives is that people will still be like, oh man, I really need to play Ghost of Yotoi. I really need to play the Demon Souls remake. So I guess I'll suffer and go out and buy a PS5, PS5 Pro, PS5 Slim. There's still some incentive because you get an experience on the PS5 that you don't get on other platforms. Microsoft gives you nothing. They give you nothing. You essentially get the same thing that you could get on PC, that you could get on SteamOS, and that's it. There's no exclusives there. And the thing about it being a vessel for Game Pass with the price increase and with the games going everywhere else, and you could have PC Game Pass if you want to, what's the point? What is the point of owning a series console when you could get the experiences literally anywhere, including if you want a cloud game on your phone? It just makes no sense. And here we are, man. You know what sucks too is that this is less competition. We're going to have Sony and we're going to have Nintendo. Maybe Microsoft will surprise us and they'll be around for another generation. But I feel even if they are going to come out with new hardware, if they do, it's just going to be like a gaming PC. It's probably going to literally be. I wouldn't be shocked, and if I'm wrong, that they give you that Xbox experience that they're giving you on the Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X, and that's what they put. They're essentially going to give you a gaming PC that has a slightly refined version, or I would say more than slightly, a moderately refined version of Windows. And I think that kind of makes sense with the direction they're going in. I just don't think Microsoft had to go out like this. And it's kind of depressing. It's kind of sad. And it's weird to think back at during this height of the 7th generation, the 360 versus PS3 versus Wii. Now, the Wii ended up selling the most units. Like I said, the world's most successful dust collector. But Microsoft at the time with the 360 seemed unstoppable. There were times that third-party developers would only bring their games due to how tough it was to program games for the PS3 only to the 360. There's times where games, it was just like, maybe I should get this game on a 360 instead of PC because it would run better. Yeah, I remember Batman Arkham Asylum had games for Windows on there from Microsoft, by the way. That's the funny part. Wouldn't run. They had so many problems. I actually bought a physical copy of Batman Arkham Asylum at GameStop, and they were like, yeah, we'll give you a refund on this. And they let me get the 360 version. I think they let me slide because I'm like, look, I just can't play this game. Games for Windows is not letting it run. And they gave me the 360 version. The days of console gaming being competitive, especially because it would be cheaper, that's kind of going out the window now, and easier and more affordable, and having games you couldn't play anywhere else, whether they be exclusives or third-party devs just wanted to make it for a certain platform because they got some contract with Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, and on top of it, too, that platform will make them a ton of money, are gone. Those days are gone. And it's weird to see Microsoft be so powerful with the 360 and the 7th gen, even after the Red Ring of Death, to see them basically, no matter what they say, bowing out a little over 10 years later. And even with Microsoft's money, they couldn't save Xbox. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's safe to say right now that Xbox as you knew it is completely dead. No one's going out there and buying a $600 to $800 5-year-old console. This is Rich Tomorrow signing out. Motion order.